All right, we're making another very football-specific episode of this shit. Welcome to the Rashid Report. My name is Yusuf Rashid, and I like talking about sports. Here we go. We are only 24 hours away, less, from the beginning of the Divisional Round for the NFL playoffs. The road to the Super Bowl truly begins here. It's been a fun season, hasn't it? As a Lions fan, it's been great. 15-2. We are the first seed in the NFC. We made the Vikings look like chumps and figured out that they're frauds. Great. Love it. Wildcard weekend was fun. Not a lot of exciting games except for maybe Tampa and Washington that ended on the doink. But besides that, it was fine. Right? It was fine. So let's talk about the divisional round. Because this is where everything starts to heat up and ramp up. Because now we're only a few more weeks away from the Super Bowl, and this will obviously be part of deciding eventually who goes to the respective championship games for their conference, and then who goes to the Super Bowl. So, in the AFC, the good old American Football Conference, that's what it stands for, right? Yeah, the American Football Conference. You got the good old Strouds. I see you. You got the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud and his boys, taking on the reigning, defending, back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to be going into this very healthy. They, of course, got the first seed in the AFC. And they rested all of their starters in Week 18 against the Denver Broncos, which is why they lost 38-0 against the Broncos. And also made sure that the Bengals didn't make the playoffs. Man, you're just a little fishy, don't you think? The Chiefs are going to be going into this knowing one thing. The goal is to win, right? The goal is neutralize the threat as fast as humanly possible. For the Houston Texans, they are going into this with big expectations. C.J. Stroud gets another playoff win. Great. Everyone loves that. After the Chargers chargered hard. Ooh. What an embarrassment from them, eh? And are going to try to knock off the best team in football. Right? Because at the end of the day, they are. The Lions are, realistically, but the Chiefs are still here. So long as they're still standing, the challenge is upon them. The Chiefs are going in this with a healthy Patrick Mahomes. The receiving core is pretty healthy, but by receiving core, I mean Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy are ready to go. Their defense is pretty much set at trying to win another goddamn ring. And they're going to do all they can to neutralize C.J. Stroud and his kind of offense. It's okay. There's a lot of injuries, but they made up for offense with their special teams and defense, especially in that Chargers game for the Houston Strouds. Basically carrying that whole game, multiple interceptions. Justin Herbert threw for 4 interceptions in that one game alone? Yeah. The Stroud special team is going to be the thing to watch in this game against Patrick Mahomes. Can they make the man stutter? All right? Can they figure out Patrick Mahomes? It'd be a tough time. I, unfortunately, though, at the end of the day, think that the Chiefs are going to pull this off with, witchcraft or something. So, the Chiefs are going to win it. I'm going to say the score is going to be... I don't think it's going to be huge. Again, the Chiefs also are going into this having not won a game not even won a game. The entire season, they have not scored more than 30 points. That's fucking ridiculous, right? But they know how to win games is the more important part, right? So maybe this is probably that's a lot of words. This is probably a game where they don't score 30 points. Again, the Strouds' defense is going to be a big factor against the likes of Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. And C.J. Stroud's going to have to do all he can with whatever he's got left. I think Tank Dell's out, right? He's still hurt. He's out. So he's got, Nico Collins and whatever left. And barely an O-line to figure it out. So don't expect this to be too close of a game, but I am having the Chiefs win this 24 to 19 or something. 19, does that make sense? 7-14. Yeah, 24 to 20. I'm gonna say it'll be close. No, I gotta make up my mind about these things. I'm gonna say 24 to 17. Yeah, I think the Stroud's will find a way to score a couple on the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are just gonna figure it out in the end. After that, I'm gonna get to the other AFC matchup later. You've got in the NFC the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles coming off a pretty standard win against the Green Bay Packers. Not much more to say about that. And if Saquon does Saquon things, good luck. Good luck. I know LA's got a good defense there. Jared Verse was probably going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but is it enough to stop A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley? And if Jalen Hurts is like cooking, it's going to be a difficult time. Now, that's not to knock off the Rams, who had a great win over the bullshit frauds that they are, the Minnesota Vikings. Ha, losers. In a game where they sacked Sam Darnold 9 times. Like, the Rams defense did all the work they could to make sure they won that game. And Matthew Stafford, with Puka and with Cooper Kupp healthy, I think they'll be great altogether, as they usually have been. And this will just be I think there's just going to be a fucking firefight. I really think this is going to be a shootout of a game. Actually, I feel like most of the games here, except for maybe the Chiefs, are going to be a bit of a shootout. Because it's all different threats, right? Like, the goal is, how do you neutralize the run game of the Philadelphia Eagles? How do you neutralize a man who rushed for 2,000 yards this season in Saquon Barkley? On the Rams side of things, how do you stop a team that's willing to do anything to win right now? They couldn't even play in their own home because of the fires. They have a lot that they want to play for, right? They're doing the whole LA Strong thing. They have a lot that they want to play for right now. The hope and belief in them is humongous. After all this, though, I want to believe in Matthew Stafford. I really do, as he is a former Lion. But also, I can't stand. Anyway, I got the Eagles winning this, and I think the Eagles are going to smack them around a little bit. It's going to get close, this one. I do think it's going to get close, but it's going to be a little bit of a smacking. I think the Eagles win 31-24. And expect Saquon to do Saquon things, I think, at the end of the day. All right. Next matchup. This is going to be fucking insane. Sunday afternoon, I believe the game is, 3 p.m. The Buffalo Bills are taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Oh boy. You want to talk about a game that's going to be a bloodbath? This probably is that game. The two front runners for MVP this year, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and their arsenal of just firepower that they have on both ends of the ball, are just going to duke it out. And this one's going to go down to the wire, I think. Unless Lamar really gets going. Because on the Bills side of thing, you have great receiving threats, but also Josh Allen is Josh Allen and can do whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to be mobile, he will be mobile. And he'll just run it. Right? And plus, ever since his engagement, he's kind of been on God mode. Like, he's fucking Goku right now. Ever since asking Haley Steinfeld to marry him, and her saying yes. Anyway, yeah, meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens, like, they've got everything to lose and also nothing to lose. But for a team that has gotten oh so close to an AFC Championship game, having made one last year, obviously, Lamar kind of wants a ring. I get it. Right, he wants to win. And the Ravens stacked him up. Yeah, Zay Flowers is great, Isaiah Likely is great, right? But they gave they got Lamar Jackson the best running threat for the Ravens, not named Lamar Jackson, in Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry's been a monster this year. It's been great for the Ravens. It's just whether or not their defense, who has been historically good this season, can figure out the Buffalo Bills. On the same note, can the Bills be ready, much like in the Eagles and Rams game, are they ready to try and shut down that shut down the run game, right? Because you look at how the Bills have been all season, and it's been, they've been obviously winning games. They've been great. Maybe not dominant, but they have been great on the most part. But the game I think about, and unfortunately it has to do with the Lions, is their game against the Lions where it wasn't close for a while, and then the Lions started getting somewhere. The Bills know how to neutralize a good run game. Like, they shut down Jahmyr Gibbs easy, right? Derrick Henry is a different beast. He really is. And I love Jahmyr Gibbs with all my heart. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back in the league now. But Derrick Henry is a different freaking beast. Lamar Jackson by himself is a different freaking beast. How does this game go? Like I said, I think it goes down to the wire. Personally, I think the Bills win. I think it's going to be something like, I don't know, 24-21 maybe, by a field goal. I think it's going to go down to a field goal. Like, it's going to get close. And then we end up having Chiefs-Bills, again, in the AFC Championship, which, like, 2 years ago I think it was, right? So, yeah. Meanwhile, the last game of the divisional, so I'm not forgetting about this one. I can't. My Detroit Lions are going to be taking on the Washington Commanders. And I'm not actually worried about this game. I'm just not ready to watch it. I think I'm going to throw up. Lions are going into this team as the first seed, the NFC. They've got home field advantage. It's going to be a loud day in Ford Field. And we've got David Montgomery back. Kevin Zeitler is going to be out. It's been reported. Christian Mahogany is going to be starting at right guard. So here we go. This is going to be fun. Because the Commanders had a great game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of the only 2 teams, by the way, this season that had our number. But Jaden Daniels is proving that he is the future, right? He's proving he's one of the best. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league in like 2 years' time, 3 years' time. And when he's under pressure, the way he plays, the way he composes himself, the way he holds himself, I think is going to be huge for the Commanders going forward. In this game in particular, our defense has to just go after him. But they have to figure out how to stop him. The run defense is going to be important because when he wants to be mobile, same thing with Josh Allen, he will be mobile, right? On the other side of things, offense. Terry McLaurin Jr. has been looking great. I think it's going to be fun. Going against that, we'll see. Right, I think we have it figured out, though. Our quarterbacks haven't been the best this year, but they were better than last year, which is saying a lot. So, as far as everything goes, the Lions have just been a juggernaut going into this, not to mention the way we neutralized the friggin' Vikings in Week 18 to win the NFC. Like, I'm not worried. Because even on the offensive side, David Montgomery is going to be back. Jahmyr Gibbs had a frickin' 4-touchdown night that day. I'm not worried. Lions are going to win. But it will also be close. And I hate saying that it will also be close. Oh, why can't you just say something different? Because this is one of the more fun years of football postseason we've had. So, why not? It's nice when games are close. It's more stressful. You know what I mean? Lions will win. I think the score is going to be 28-21. I think it's going to be a one-possession game. But it is going to be a one-possession game that Jaden Daniels will try to carry on his back. So, yeah, I have the Chiefs winning against the Texans, or Strouds, if you will. The Bills beating the Ravens. I've got the Eagles beating the LA Rams. And I've got, of course, the Detroit Lions beating the Washington Commanders. Why did I almost say Minnesota Vikings? I couldn't remember for a second. Anyway, besides that, I do have the Lions going all the way, obviously. It's our year, right? Like, I'll make a video about this later, if everything goes according to plan. But it feels like a year of destiny. Speaking of teams that are miserable, the Dallas Cowboys announced recently that they are firing Mike McCarthy, that he will no longer be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Who's surprised by this? Not me. This was kind of a long time coming. I thought they were going to fire McCarthy after their blowout loss to the Lions in week 5, I believe it was. And yet, they kept him, and Jerry Jones was like, well, there's no problem with Mike McCarthy. He doesn't sound like that. It sounds more like Bill, but Well, there's no problem with Mike McCarthy. Blah blah blah. I'm old and rich, and I don't give a shit about anything in football. What do? Well, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't have the first overall pick, I would try to figure out something in the draft and hire a actual reasonable human being as a coach. I know people are talking about Deion Sanders potentially being the coach, but I don't know if Deion wants to go anywhere where Shador isn't. I don't like. That's the thing is like I don't know if he wants to, or even stay in college, right? Stay at Colorado, coaching college football. So we'll see. But there's a conversation to be had about how two things. A lot of teams are very much reaching into the hire former player to be your coach thing because there's like a culture thing involved, an idea of culture involved of like, oh, but they were here long ago. That was the past, and they know what it was like back then. They can bring it back to this team. Like, look at the Patriots, right? Unfortunately, Gerard Mayo has been fired. Robert Kraft made a whole statement about it that apparently he wrote up during their game, which they then won anyway. Crazy. And, same idea of like Gerard Mayo was basically like pulled into the job after Belichick left because Belichick was like, you gotta make Gerard Mayo the coach. You have to. And he didn't work. Robert Kraft gave him a year to try to turn a rebuilding team into a contender, and they were like, sir, that's not possible. And Robert Kraft said, well, you're fired anyway. They hired Mike Vrabel, who is a former Patriot and has won Super Bowls with the Patriot. I think it's only one, but we're seeing a bit of a trend. We're going to start seeing a trend sooner rather than later of teams hiring coaches that were formerly players of that organization, right? Vrabel. If Deion Sanders actually does get hired by the Cowboys, there's going to be another example because I personally think a lot of guys are following the Dan Campbell method. Like a lot of GMs and owners are looking at the Lions and going, well, they had, Dan Campbell's a former Lion and he's instilled a new culture. What if we do that? There you go. It's not the same thing because Dan Campbell was a Lion in our most miserable times. Like, Dan Campbell was on the 0-16 team. He knows what it's like to suck. And when he came back to Detroit, he said, no, we're not fucking doing that anymore. There's no losing, right? There's no giving up. We're going to fight with every last breath we have. The whole, what is it? I don't care if you have three toes and one ass cheek or whatever, I will still kick your ass. Right? It's a fighting spirit. Dan Campbell has instilled a culture that turned a rebuilding Detroit Lions team 4 years ago into a Super Bowl contender. And it's fucking crazy is what that is. I don't know why I cinched that out when I've been swearing all day. But yeah, here we are. We're going to start seeing a trend of that soon. And I have this whole theory that sports in general, it just follows phases, especially with front office. There are phases or metas, if you will, that revolve every few years or they change up every few years. One of my favorites personally being the everyone trying to hire a Belichick assistant meta, where teams were hiring, Belichick's offensive coordinators or assistants out of New England to be their head coaches, then it now working out. Or teams hiring people that were assistant GMs or advisors under Belichick in New England and not working out. It's a bit of a trend here. I'm just saying, the coaching tree for Bill isn't that great, but there's a lot of factors as to why that couldn't work out. But that was just a big thing going on for a while, right? It's the same thing now, right? We're getting out of my current favorite era, which I like to call the overpay era, because every quarterback got a crazy pay grade, and some of them don't deserve it. I'm looking at you, Dak Prescott. And now we're getting to the hire former player for your team meta. So I'm curious as to what other teams do going forward. Chicago Bears need a new head coach. I don't know who they would hire. Mike Tomlin probably should be losing his job in Pittsburgh. I don't know who they would hire. So we'll have to see. All right, time will tell. Until then, I think that's all the news I want to talk about. I want to go on a rant about Jerry Jones, but now's not the time. I'm tired. It's Friday. I just want to get ready for tomorrow. And yeah, until then, this has been the Rashid Report. My name is Yusuf Rashid. I will see you later. Goodbye.